there somewhere. So please go watch that first if you are interested. And yeah, let's go into part 2. So in part 1, I talked about episodes 1 through 5 of season 1. And today I'm going to be talking about episodes 6 through 10 of season 1. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. And also, if you are interested in videos like this and you want to see more, let me know in the comments what shows you'd be interested in me reviewing next. Okay. So in episode 5, we left off where Judge finds out that he's being blackmailed. So somebody knows, and somebody's like, you have to give me money or I'm spilling all the beans. So now we open up episode 6, and he's talking to Detective Nancy, and he's pretty much tricking her into finding out who this guy is. So she's like looking up his, I think it was his license plate, right? Because we figured out that this was the guy that was behind Adam at the gas station, right? So now Judge went to the gas station and like had this whole exchange with the guy that owns the gas station about how his wife was cheating on him, and basically convinced the guy to let him watch the camera footage, and then he deleted all the camera footage after he got the information that he needed. So now he has this guy's license plate number, and he's convincing the Detective Nancy, to find him. So he finds the guy, and stay tuned, we'll see what happens next. Meanwhile, we cut to Jimmy is in Judge's house, right? And I think that this is a flashback to last episode, because we see in the last episode that Django is sick and he has to go to the vet. And it's not looking good for him. So we know already that Django has been sick. He takes like medication for his kidneys or something. And when Jimmy is in the house in this scene, he gives Django a grape, which is completely diabolical. If you know, you know. Dogs cannot eat grapes. The outside skin is very toxic to them, and it can cause kidney failure. So giving a dog that has bad kidneys a grape is literally diabolical. Okay, and then we cut to another scene where so Carlo, which is the oldest Baxter's son, the one that just got out of jail, he wants to start selling drugs, because I guess that's what he got into while he was in jail. And so the Baxter dad, Jimmy, does not want to sell drugs. Like, he doesn't want that in his name. He's like, the Baxters don't do that, right? But Gina, the mom, is covering for her stupid son, Carlo, for some reason. So then we cut back to Judge's house, and he is sitting outside in the car with his little evil red-headed henchman. And does this man even have a name? I feel like I don't know his name, and I don't even care. So they're sitting outside in the car, and they're waiting for Judge to get home. And they're like ready to pull the trigger, because at this point everybody thinks that Judge is the one that ran over Rocco. Nobody knows that it was Adam, and Judge is kind of just taking the blame, obviously, to protect his son. So we have a really close call here, because I think the only reason that Judge even survived this night was because Adam shows up in the car with Sophia, which is Jimmy Baxter's daughter. So now obviously Jimmy Baxter is like, we have to rethink this, because what is she doing with this kid? What's going on here, right? So I also wrote, Adam really knows how to pick him, because like, why is he dating the daughter, the sister of the person that he literally just killed? But whatever, this show, man. So now, Baxter knows that Sophia's dating this kid now, and so he confronts her about it, but in a very subtle way. He's kind of just like, tell me about him, and I want to meet him. So he wants to have a man-to-man with Adam. Okay, so then we cut to the other Baxter's son, Carlo, is now selling his product to the Desire Squad, or Big Mo, who is, head honcho of the Desire Squad, or Desire Crew, whatever they're called. And then we cut to Lee is at the prison, and she's digging for more information on what happened to Kofi. So she's trying to get the case reopened, or what have you. I don't know if the case is closed at this point or what. I think it is. So she's trying to get the case reopened, but she needs more evidence. So she's talking to inmates, and essentially she episode, I think. Okay. And then we cut to... Okay, at some point, there's this whole thing where Judge gets in contact with the guy that's blackmailing him because, okay, obviously we already know from the beginning of the episode, he found his license plate number, so the license plate belonged to the guy's father. So he goes to the father, and he's in like this nursing home, and he's like completely, you know, he's lost it. He doesn't even really know what's going on anymore, but he does kinda. So Judge is able to like fish some information out of him about like where his son is and how to find him. So then he finds the son. The son is the one who had his car, right? So that's how, you know, the license plate led to the father, because the son was driving the father's car, and I guess he's like, he does some kind of ride share as work. So Judge finds a way to ride in his car, and he like plants I think he puts a phone in there, right? So now he's got a burner phone for the guy that gave him the burner phone, and it's like a whole inception of burner phones right now, right? So now he calls him on the burner phone, and the guy pretty much tells him like, I want to buy a boat and I want to do da 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 with it, and like, you know, this is why I need that money and whatever. So Judge tells him to meet him in a certain place at a certain time, and so now we're cutting to that scene where they're meeting up for the first time officially. So now, in between all of this happening, we're cutting to Lee gets the information that she needed to reopen the Kofi case, right? So now Carlo's going on trial. He's going to jail. You know, they've got what they needed, and, you know, he's potentially not getting out of it this time. And this is what I don't really like about this show. I don't really love about this show is that they jump around so much. Like, the scenes are so small, and then we jump to a different thing, and then we jump back to that one again, and then we jump back to a different thing, and then it's just a lot of back and forth, and it's like chaotic and confusing a lot of times. Which is why my notes are so jumbled. Like, I don't even know when anything happens. Like, the timeline is all skewed. But anyway, so she gets the information she needed. They're reopening the case, and now we got to Judge is meeting this guy for the first time officially. And y'all, why did Judge buy this man a boat? Can you please tell me? He says that he bought this boat. He didn't buy it outright. He's making payments on it, and as long as the guy keeps his mouth shut, he's gonna continue to make the payments. Okay, so now we're at the dock, and why does Jimmy Baxter show up? So now Jimmy Baxter is here. He knows that Judge is involved, and he finds him with this guy, and he basically like spills all the beans. He's like, I know everything that happened, and obviously Judge is gonna take the fall for Adam, so he's not gonna tell him anything about Adam being involved. And so now Judge's only saving grace is that they're about to go arrest Carlo right now. Excuse me. So he tells Jimmy, like, your son is about to get arrested, and I can help you get him out of the situation that he's in. Like, I just need to get the case. Like, I'll help you get him out of this. He will not be convicted for this, I promise you. So Jimmy spares his life, but he kills the dude that blackmailed him, right? Because what? Judge. So Jimmy asks Judge, how much does this guy know? Because at this point they knocked him out and he's just passed out on the floor. And he's like, how much does this guy know? And Judge is like, everything. So now Jimmy just kills it, like, offs the dude right in front of Judge. And now Judge has to dispose of the body, and he's like covered in blood, and the evil red-headed henchman is there monitoring him while he does it. But I think that happens in the next episode, so I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah. So that's the end of episode 6, and now we're moving on to episode 7. I'm gonna take a sip of water first. Does anybody else's water bottle wheeze like mine? I don't know what that's about. Okay. Episode 7. So alright, we cut to Carlo is driving in a car. Okay, so he's not caught yet. He's driving his car. His dad is trying to contact him. He's not picking up the phone. He's like screening his calls or whatever. Also, his little friend is like on whatever drugs that he's trying to sell, and he's literally like dying in the back. So judge is now disposing of the body, which is crazy. I'm saying, like, I hope they get Carlo. We cut to a scene where Sophia's talking to Adam, and she literally said the wrong brother died, which is absolutely wild to say, but also fair and true. It turns out that Carlo is going to be getting the death penalty. Also fair. And he had the nerve to be smirking. Oh, okay, so eventually they arrested him. And that's when Sophia said the wrong brother died, because she finds out, like, what possibly, what he got arrested for. And she's like, oh, this is the wrong brother. So, the way he gets arrested is he gets to the hotel, and Jimmy ended up warning somebody else because he wasn't picking up the phone. So, when he gets there, they're like, get out, get out. But it was too late. The cops were already there, so they arrested him. And his henchman, which I believe his name is Joey, I'm calling him a henchman, like, what year is this? But whatever, that's what I'm gonna call him. Is what? I don't know, his right-hand man. Everybody's got a right-hand man in this show. But anyway, so Joey is his name. So Joey runs off with the drugs, and he just, like, takes off and he goes into hiding, right? And so Carlo's arrested, but they don't know where the drugs are. But that's okay, because that's not what he's arrested for. He's arrested for killing Kofi. So now, Joey gets away, Carlo gets arrested, and where are we now? So yeah, he's facing the death penalty, and he's literally on the stand smirking, like he just knows he's gonna get out of this, because his daddy's gonna get him out of it. Anyway, meanwhile, all this is happening, and it's literally Judge's birthday, which is so sad, but so now we got the dirty cop. Lieutenant Cusack is talking to Carlo's lawyer for some reason, but he's also pretending that he doesn't know Carlo's lawyer. So, I think it was Nancy that, like, confronted him and was like, oh, what's he like? And he was like, I don't know that person. And she's like, well, you were talking to him, though. I saw you. Or, like, didn't you talk to him? And he was like, no, I don't know who that is. But then later on, she talks to, like, another cop in the building who was like, no, yeah, they looked real buddy-buddy earlier, so they for sure know each other. So Nancy's on the case, y'all. So we already know that Judge is taking the blame for killing Rocco. He calls Jimmy out for that gas leak. Oh, because Jimmy's, like, trying to make him feel guilty, like, how can you kill an innocent kid, and da-da-da, and Judge is like, well, you literally blew up an entire innocent family's home, so who's the bad guy? Okay, so then cut to, we're in not Jimmy's house, we're in Judge's house again, and Adam is there, and he kind of knows that something is going on, and I wrote, he treats Adam like he's dumb, and that's why he acts dumb. It's true, because he's, like, trying to keep Adam in the dark about everything, but Adam obviously can tell that something's going on, and I feel like at this point they need to just be honest with each other. I understand that he's trying to protect his son, but keeping him in the dark is not protecting him, I don't think, in my opinion. And I wrote, feeding the dog human, ? Because I don't know what fell off of him, but it landed on the kitchen floor and Django ate it. Like, Django just eats everything off the floor. That's crazy. Do your dogs do that? I feel like my dog kind of hesitates a little bit, so I have enough time to be like, no, don't eat it. But Django was, like, scooping it up before anybody gets a chance to say anything. So Django ate a piece of that guy's brain off of Judge's clothes, which is absolutely wild. Okay, so now we cut to who is going to be the judge of this case. Carlo versus Kofi case. And we have Miss Sarah, who is, I feel like she's, like, Judge's mentor, or, like, something, like, they're very close. They talk about each other's cases. They communicate a lot. So she is they want her to convict Carlo. But obviously Judge needs to get this case, so he's got to find a way to do it. So now we're at the first trial, or like, I don't know what the different, whatever, but they're in court, right? And Carlo is on trial. Judge is judging for some reason, but he's not assigned to the case yet. And Jimmy Baxter is in the courtroom, and Jimmy like tries to disrespect Judge in front of everybody in the courtroom, and Judge shut it down. He was like, "No, sir, you're in my house right now. Calm down and take a seat." Right? I don't remember what the actual conversation was, but I also wrote, "I'm scared though," because I really don't see at this point how Judge is gonna get out of this, but we'll get there. Baxters don't deal heroin. Yeah, we talked about that already. Somebody's coming for Carlo. Why? Oh, this is what happens. So, Carlo made a deal with the Desire Crew. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. He wants to sell his drugs to the Desire Crew, but now the drugs are gone because he got arrested and his friend Joey ran off with the drugs. So, we don't know where Joey is. He's in hiding. So now Desire is coming for their drugs or their money back or something, and Jimmy goes to them and he's like, "We don't deal drugs." And Big Mo is like, "Well, your son does, and somebody got to take care of my money. I don't care if your son is in jail, so either give me my drugs or give me my money." And obviously Jimmy's not doing that. He's not gonna give in. So I think that they're gonna come for Carlo. Like, Desire is gonna come for Carlo at this point. So then we cut to Judge doesn't get the case. Sarah gets the case. So what's gonna happen there? We don't know yet. Then we cut to, again, we're cutting to so many different things, and we can't just stick to one part of the storyline. It's really frustrating and annoying. But we cut to Leah's at her firm, and she's about to lose her job because her boss told her not to pursue this Kofi case, and she went ahead and did it anyway. And she's like digging really deep into it, and he's like, "You cannot be doing this in our name. Like, this is not what we do." So he fires her, and honestly, she's probably better off on her own. She's gonna do more good that way anyway. Now Sarah. Okay, so now we cut to, remember, it's Judge's birthday on this day, so everybody's on their way to this surprise celebration that they're having at his house, and he doesn't really know about it. So he's in the car with Lee, he's cruising, and we're cutting to Sarah's in her own car, and she's cruising, and we find out later that she was actually on the way to Judge's birthday celebration, and she gets pulled over. And she gets arrested for like a DUI, and Judge happens to drive by with Lee in the car, sees the whole thing happening, and just lets it continue happening. And like, to distract Lee, he drops the "I love you" bomb on her at that very moment, so she doesn't see what's happening to Judge Sarah. And it worked. So they just drove off and let the judge get arrested. And now I'm thinking, like, he's in cahoots with the Baxters and the dirty cops to like they set this up somehow, right? It had to be. So now last scene in the episode is Django throwing up the brain that he ate earlier. Why is this relevant? I don't know, but if I have to know, so do y'all. So now we're moving on to episode 8. Sarah was speeding to get to his party. We already talked about that. They have her on camera, like, cursing out the cops because she's like, "I'm a judge, like, I'm all renowned. Y'all are not gonna get away with this." They were treating her unfairly, but also, was she driving drunk? I don't know. I mean, I guess she was, because she failed the breathalyzer, right? And she was speeding. So, but like, it was a one-time thing, so it shouldn't be as bad as it was, but whatever. Essentially, they just tell her that she has to go to court-ordered rehab, and that's that. So, I mean, she got off a little bit easy, but she's like, "I'm not an alcoholic, I don't have to go to rehab." But judge is like, "You know what, you do have to, because they ordered it, so it is what it is." So she loses the case, obviously, and judge picks it up. So now we're full swing, trials in full swing, right? So now they're playing the recording of Jimmy warning Carlo not to go to the hotel announced that Jimmy was leaving Carlo to not go to the hotel and that they're coming for him. So they want to know how Jimmy knew, right? But Judge is like, this has nothing to do with the case at hand. So he tells the jury to unhear the voicemail. Like, what? This is what I don't understand about court, is like, how can you just tell a jury to forget parts of what they just heard? That's wild to me, but whatever. So now Lee and Nancy are kind of on to, what's his name? Lieutenant something. Cusack. They're on to him at this point. They can see that something's up. He's a little bit dirty, right? A lot of bit dirty, to be honest. Somebody mentions that it might be a setup against Sarah, and Judge kind of shut it down. And then they bring. So the reason that Carlo was in jail the first time was because of some racially motivated fight that he got into, where he like nearly killed someone. And so they bring the victim of that crime onto the stand to testify against Carlo. And he talks about, all the damages that happened to him, and, how he suffered since then, and all the things that Carlo did to him that were really, really uncalled for and super violent. And I'm thinking, how is Judge gonna let this kid go at this point? Like, there's no way. But Judge, always one step ahead, he sees that the kid on the stand, the victim of the first crime, has a Desire tattoo on his neck. So he calls it out. He's like, oh, what's that scar on your neck? Is that from the accident as well? Or from the attack as well? And he's like, no, it's a tattoo. So now everybody's looking at his tattoo, and it's from the Desire crew, right? So now Carlo's lawyer obviously is gonna milk this for all it's worth. Let's see. Okay, and then we cut to a scene where Judge is in the parking lot and Baxter's like somewhere behind, and Baxter is not having it at this point. He's like, it seems like you're not really doing anything to make Carlo look any better. Like, this doesn't look promising. Obviously he's saying this in a much more like harsh and intimidating way, but he's like not really trusting that Judge is going to get Carlo out of this. So he's standing across the parking lot, like staring at Judge all intimidatingly, and who comes to see them but Miss Detective Nancy. So that happens. Then we cut to Lee is talking to Eugene, and she's basically like, I'll go through the system with you. Like, don't be part of the Desire crew. Like, you can do better than this, and blah, blah, blah. But Eugene is not trying to be part of the system, and I do not blame him, my friend. I do not blame him. And he's got this baseball again, and at this point I wrote that baseball is going to come back to bite them soon. I don't know how, but alright, let's talk about it. So basically Lee volunteers to get the baseball sold for him. He's like, I'll find someone to buy it, or like I'll sell it for you and I'll give you the money, kind of thing. So that plan is going into motion right now. And so then we cut to Adam is talking to his teacher girlfriend, and she's talking about how she's gonna quit her job and follow him to New York, to NYU, so they can be together. And like, please have some self-respect, woman. This is a 17-year-old high school student. Like, what are you even talking about? And he basically shuts her down, and he's like, I didn't get into NYU, but we know from a previous scene that he did literally just get into NYU. I don't remember if he knew that already, or if he was just telling her, no, I didn't get in, just so she would back off. But Judge knows that at this point because he opened the mail that Adam got, and it said that he got accepted, right? So now they're gonna do like a NYU congratulations celebration for Adam. They're going to a restaurant, and they're gonna celebrate, right? But he's lying to his teacher girlfriend and saying that he didn't get into NYU so that she wouldn't want to follow him anymore, instead of just being like, we're not a thing anymore, I have a new girlfriend or something. Like, instead of just breaking it off, dinner, and Jimmy Baxter is there confronting Judge, and who turns up but Senator Grandma. So now Senator Grandma sees Jimmy lurking around Judge and his family, and she's concerned. She brings it up, right? Then we cut to a scene where Judge is talking to teacher girlfriend and basically blows up Adam's spot because Adam announced at the celebratory dinner that he might not want to go to NYU, that he might want to take a gap year, and he doesn't even know if he wants to go to NYU at all. So Judge goes to teacher girlfriend and is like, you know, is he seeing someone? Like, where's this coming from? Like, can you talk to him? So yeah, now at this point she knows that Adam lied about not getting into NYU, and so his spot is blown up, right, by his own father. And then we're cutting back to they're in court. They're Kofi versus Carlo case, and I like Kofi's lawyer. I really like her. But then let's see. Okay, so Judge sets up this lady on the jury because it seems like, I don't remember what it was exactly. He must have seen her notes, or maybe she asked a question that was like it was hitting too close. So he set her up somehow. He told them all in the beginning, like, you're not to research anything about this case, like, you're not to talk about it to anyone, like, all you're doing is coming here and basing your decisions off of what you hear in this courtroom and what I tell you to base it off of, basically is what he was saying. And then somehow he figures out a way to, like, he goes into this woman's search history. He says that someone reported her, and he goes into the search history on her phone, and he sees that she looked up something regarding Carlo or Kofi or something regarding the case, right? And I'm like, how did he do that? Like, how did he plant that information on her phone? So she, like, tries to dispute it, obviously, because it wasn't her. And Judge is basically like, look, the evidence is right here. You need to just let it go, get out of here, and move on with your life, kind of thing. So that's what she does, because at this point she doesn't have a choice. And then the last scene of this episode, teacher girlfriend is spying on Adam at the cafe with Sophia. Now, moving on to episode 9. And we are almost done, you guys. So now we open up this episode, and Joey, like we said, Joey's on the run with the drugs, right? And he's hiding at some, like, trap house. And I guess it was not Carlo, it was Jimmy's people who find him at this trap house, and he jumps out the window and freaking breaks his ankle or something, and now he's dragging his foot and running away. And I'm like, where are you going, bro? And at this point he sees some cops outside, and he just turns himself in, right? And it turns out he's been on the run for 3 months. Like, what? So he decides to turn himself in, and he's throwing everybody and their mama under the bus, literally. Carlo, the Baxter mom, Jimmy, everybody's getting told on, right? And Judd is about to flip out. So how are we gonna fix this one, Judge? Well, at first I thought he was gonna hide Carlo so that, I thought he was gonna hide Joey so that the Baxters couldn't get to him. But then I was like, how is that gonna help you? Like, I don't know. So let's move on, because we'll find out in just a few. But first, we cut to teacher girlfriend, whose name is Franny, by the way. I haven't used her name at all, but her name is Franny. She rolls up on Adam and Sophia at the cafe after she was just spying on them. And I forgot what the exchange was about, but it couldn't have been that important. But then we also find out, I forget how we found out this, but Robin, who is Adam's mom, aka Judge's wife, who passed away, she was cheating on Judge, and we find this out, right? And it turns out that Judge already knew at this point. They found out from, I believe it was Detective Nancy, who brought it to Judge's attention, and Judge was like, yeah, I already knew. And she's like, how could you have this information and now it's relevant for some reason. But anyway, so Senator Grandma finds out and she's like, you know, you really have to tell Adam. He's gonna find out eventually anyway. And Judge's like, no, I don't want to tell him. I don't want him to have that image of her. He can't even confront her about it. Like, she's already gone. Like, just leave it alone. I can see it from both sides, but I feel like, yeah, Adam's gonna find out eventually anyway, so you might as well just tell him. And this is what I meant earlier when I said, like, Judge is always treating Adam like a child, and that's why he acts like a brainless child sometimes, because, like, Judge is really trying to shelter this kid, and just, like, he's 17 years old. It's fine. But anyways, okay, let's see. Yeah, so Nancy tells Senator Grandma about the affair and blah, blah, blah. Now, Jimmy realizes that Joey knows that Covey wasn't the one driving the car that hit Rocco. I don't remember why I wrote this or why it's relevant, but they want to set up. Oh, duh, obviously. Wait. Anyway, so he brings that up. I don't even know, y'all. My notes are so jumbled up. I don't even know what goes on half the time, but I'm doing my best. Bear with me. But anyway, so they want to set up a hit on Joey, obviously, because they don't want him to snitch. And so Judge tries talking Nancy into taking the Joey versus Baxter case. Because why? Because I guess he feels like she's easy to manipulate at this point. She's just like a pawn in his little game. And now Jimmy knows about Adam and Sophia. But we already knew that, so I don't know why I wrote that here. Eugene. Okay, so then we cut to Eugene is talking to the Desire Crew, and he's like trying to convince Big Mo to let him do like money management, like accounting type stuff, and he wants to give back to the churches in the community, which is really sweet. I love him for that. So Judge at this point is taking a special interest in Joey, and obviously Joey's like really freaked out, and he's also going through withdrawals at the same time. So, you know, Judge goes in to like coach him a little bit, and he's giving him this whole speech about being brave and like, you know, what I do when I need to be brave is just I take a sip of water or whatever. So he's really adamant about having him take a sip of water whenever he's feeling nervous on the stand. So when Joey goes on the stand and he's spilling all the beans, also they made a whole big show earlier about like, you know, is Joey even like fit to stand trial because he was on drugs and blah blah blah. So, you know, Covey's lawyer assured Judge that like she talked to this kid and yes, he is fit to stand trial. I think multiple people attested to that. So then Joey gets on the stand and he's like tweaked out. He's like, he keeps drinking water, and the more water he drinks, the more he tweaks out. So also they had a plan where Judge had told Jimmy that he was gonna allow the Baxter's lawyer to prepare for cross-examination with Joey, right? So that meant that they were supposed to be able to take a break and regroup. But during the trial, he didn't do it. So I'm thinking like, oh my god, what's he got up his sleeve? Is he really gonna like, is he gonna get the whole family at this point and like just be saved? And, you know, is he gonna turn it around on them? But no, that's not what he did. What he actually did was he put drugs in Joey's water. So the whole time he was taking all those sips of water, he was actually drinking drugs. And yeah, he nearly died on the stand and they had to take him to the hospital. And so Judge was able to cut everything that he testified to out of the case because Joey wasn't fit to stand trial. And, you know, Judge was like, it was a mistake on my part. I knew he shouldn't have done it, or he shouldn't have been on the stand and blah, blah, blah. What a mess, y'all. What a freaking mess. But Nancy's onto them somehow. I don't remember how, but she's got suspicion. And then let's see. Okay, so now teacher girlfriend calls Adam out for dating the sister of the boy that he killed, and it's like, you're in a dangerous situation right now. Like, what do you think you're doing, kind of thing. And Adam is not hearing it because he's super hard-headed and dumb. And then we cut to Carlos talking to his lawyer, and the lawyer's like, you need to get on the stand and like make the jury feel compassion for you. Like, you need to really milk this whole like it was self-defense thing. Like, you need to say that you were scared, that you were terrified. And he's like giving Carlo words to say, and Carlo literally just cannot say them because he has zero emotional intelligence, and he like can't even fake being afraid. Like, he's just like, I was mad, I was angry, raw, big tough guy. Like, you can't even fake it to like save your butt from going to jail. So annoying. Then we find out also there's like this whole thing with Sophia and her mom, where like Sophia's an atheist, she doesn't believe in God, but her family's very super religious, and the mom is like trying to shove religion down Sophia's throat. So there's like this whole scene where a priest comes and is like, trying to talk Sophia into believing in God, and it's all just like super weird vibes. But yeah, let's see. Then we find out from Lee that Kofi was getting his GED on the day that Rocco died, so he couldn't have been driving that car. So now we're really getting into the weeds here. And now, so now Lee, since she knows this information, now she goes to Eugene with it, and she's basically trying to turn him on the Desire crew, and like, she's like, it had to be an inside job. If Kofi wasn't even there, they told him to take the fall for this case, and now he's dead because of it. So, they're not loyal to you, they're only loyal to themselves. She's saying all this to Eugene in hopes to like get him to be on her side and like testify and blah blah. Who is Rudy? So I know Rudy is one of the dirty cops, but like, which side is he playing for? Is he playing for all sides? Is he only playing for his own side? Like, what's going on? I'm still confused about the Rudy situation. Now, Charlie. Okay, so Adam tells Charlie about dating the teacher, right? And so Charlie goes to confront the teacher to basically tell her to just like back off or whatever, like leave the kid alone. And she goes and spills the whole beans about Rocco and the Baxters and Adam's involvement in the whole thing. So now Charlie is fully filled in on everything. And we end this episode where Adam is supposed to be meeting Jimmy for the first time as Sophia's boyfriend. So Jimmy still doesn't know the truth, but the truth will out because lots of people know the truth at this point. So now we're on the final episode. We're almost there, you guys. It's the home stretch. So Senator Grandma tells Adam about his mom who was cheating, and he's obviously really upset about it. I said Lee is nuts, actually. I think I said that because she ends up, so she's watching the whole court case, and there's a part where Carlos says that Kofi walked into his cell and closed the door and he was afraid for his life, right? So, and then he also says that Kofi just walked out after closing the door. He just walked back out. So Lee goes to the prison and she closes the door on herself in a cell, and she cannot get out, in fact. So Carlo actually ended up putting on a really good show for the jury, but Lee figured all that information out. So she goes back and she tells Kofi's lawyer, and she's about to eat this man up on the stand, y'all. I was ready for it. He called her a C-U-N-T. I wrote got him. I don't even know why I wrote that, but I was very excited in this part. Judge was sweating. He doesn't even know what to do. Nancy's bunch of digging, and things are just ripping at the seams at this point. She confronted Judge right away because at this point, oh, okay, I remember what the digging was. She went to the cemetery because she knew something was off about the dates, right? So she goes to the cemetery and she's speaking to the attendant. And remember in part 1, we talked about how Judge did this whole setup where they went to the cemetery the day after the anniversary of the mom's death so that it would look like, so they could trick the attendant into like not really knowing. So whenever they came to question him, he wouldn't really know the difference whether it was the 9th or the 10th. But it turns out that the 10th was a significant date for this guy, so he knows for a fact that it was the 10th. It was the 10th that they showed up, but the anniversary of the death was the 9th or something like that, whatever it was. So now Nancy knows this information, and she goes and confronts Judge off the rip. Like, she was like, I'm not waiting, bro. I'm coming for you right now. So she goes, she confronts him. At this point, Charlie knows the whole situation too, so Charlie jumps in. But we'll get to that in a second, I think. We'll get to it right now. So Charlie goes to Nancy, and he's like, in exchange for, you leave Judge alone, and I promise when I become mayor, I'll clean up all the dirty cops in the NOLA PD, right? I guess that's the agreement that they left off on. So now we cut to Lee. Lee's coming, and she's bringing Eugene, and Eugene is ready to testify. So she goes into the judge's quarters, and she's like, I got this kid, he's ready to testify. And Judge is... okay, like, something happens here where Lee starts to figure it out that, like, Judge is involved somehow. I don't remember what clicked for her, but Judge was not trying to let Eugene testify, so maybe that was her red flag. And then Eugene comes in the room, and he's like, you're the guy. You're the ghost. The gray ghost from the first episode, remember? Because he was standing in their doorway, scoping the house out. And when Eugene saw him in this scene, he was wearing the same gray hoodie and he had his hood up. So he's like, oh, you're the dude that was at my house that day. So now, at this point, everything's unraveled, and Lee knows everything. They send Eugene out of the room, but Lee also realizes that it wasn't Judge, because I forgot what it was, but she knew where Judge was when all this was happening, so she knew that it was Adam and that Judge was covering for Adam. And so she like goes completely wild and blames him for Kobe dying and everything, just blames him for everything. Like, he handled the situation really poorly, and it's true, he really did. And she's like, you need to set this right, you need to turn yourself in, kind of thing. And then she smacks the crap out of his face. I don't even remember why, but glad she did it. And then we cut back to they're in court now, and Lee is expecting Judge to set everything straight. And Adam is there, Sophia's there. And unfortunately, Judge did not let Eugene testify. Then he sets a fake note from the jury, and I don't know what the note said. I'm pretty sure they didn't show it, but whatever it was caused them to, they ended up playing the 911 call from the night that Rocco died, and all you hear is Adam breathing really heavily, and they all think that it's Rocco dying, but we know that it's Adam because he was having a freaking asthma attack and he couldn't breathe. So Adam freaks out while they're playing the 911 call, and he goes outside into like the hallway or whatever, and he pulls out. Also, the Baxter mom also starts freaking out, so she goes outside, and then Jimmy goes and follows her. So now Adam's outside in the hallway, and he's having another asthma attack, and he pulls out his inhaler. So now Jimmy sees him with his inhaler, and he looks at his little red-headed henchman, and they're like, it clicks. It was Adam. All this time, it was Adam. So then we get the verdict on Carlos' case, and the jury voted him not guilty. I don't know how that happened, but they did. So now Fia invites Adam to her parents' hotel to celebrate, supposedly, right? And then we cut to Eugene wants revenge. Oh, baseball. Judge bought it. Judge bought his baseball bag, gave Lee the money. Lee gave the money to Eugene, and now all of this is happening. He sees Carlo get off in court again, and he is ready for revenge. So he takes the money that he got from that baseball and he goes and buys a gun. And then we cut to, we're at the Baxter's hotel. They're all celebrating Carlo's release, and Jimmy threatens Adam to Judge. So Jimmy calls Judge and basically is like, your son's here and I know it was him, and gives him some kind of threat, right? So now Judge is out. He runs to the Baxter Hotel, but they won't let him in because it's a private party, and so he's yelling and screaming and carrying on outside trying to get in, but he can't get in. So in all the commotion of him trying to get in, Eugene shows up and he just slips right in because the security's so busy with Judge that Eugene was just able to literally just walk behind them and slip in. So now he's there, he's ready to get his revenge on Carlo with the gun that he just bought with the baseball money. And long story short, Adam is talking to Sophia, Carlo is close by talking to someone else, and Eugene goes, also, Judge is outside watching this whole thing unfold from the window, but Eugene goes and takes his shot at Carlo, and Carlo moves out of the way, and the bullet hits Adam right in his neck, right in front of Sophia. Blood splattered all over the poor girl. She's screaming, and it's a wrap for Adam. After all that, Adam is done for. And that is the end of season 1. So that means that this is the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed. I know it's super long, but if you're still here,